Welcome, everyone, to the Greater Good. Today, I have a really special guest, Boyd Long, who I've only known for a short while, but immediately came to recognize what an important person he is in terms of what I do on this show. So, hi, Boyd. Nice to see you, sir.
Jeff, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and be on your show.
Yeah. Well, I do this show for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, I want to recognize people like yourself throughout San Diego County and elsewhere and it's all my opinion on who I think really does contribute to our society. Other than, a lot of people write checks and help, nonprofits and people that are very, very important in our community. But then there are people like yourself who have spent a lifetime in terms of giving back to the community. So today, and maybe we could start our conversation. I was driving down here and I thought, what do I want to talk to Boyd about? And I said, I want to talk about the difference between givers and takers.
Okay.
And I think and first of all, maybe we can lead in a little bit for my audience about who Boyd Long is and kind of just give a thumbnail of, where you were and where you've come to today.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. I grew up here in San Diego County. My primary where I grew up at was in Escondido. Went through the school district there. Actually, I started, interesting enough, in law enforcement as a police explorer with the Escondido Police Department
Wow.
back in 1977, 78.
My God.
Left Escondido. I went to Palomar College for a short period of time. Fortunately for me, I got hired by the San Diego Police Department at 21 years old. Um, I spent 28 years at San Diego PD. I had an opportunity to run be a part of almost every one of the departments at the PD. Ultimately, the last 5 years I was there, I was the assistant chief of police over patrol operations, which is all the 9 divisions in the
Mm,
city of San Diego.
right.
And in 2013, an opportunity came that I never really thought much about is what would I do when I hit retirement age at the police department?
Mhm.
And a call kind of came out of the blue. Was I interested in working at a casino? And my first blush was absolutely not. Police work is not conducive to working at a casino.
Right.
But after about 3 months of going back and forth with Valley View Casino, where I'm at, I ultimately took on the opportunity. And I must say, it's much, much more than I thought it would be, and nothing like I thought it would be, both in a really extremely good way.
Uh-huh.
I've been here coming up on 10 years now. And I think where you're going with the conversation is there is a difference between givers and those who take. Um,
Right. Right. Yeah. So it just sort of hit me. I was listening to the radio, some show on the way down from North County, and I was thinking about people's perception of law enforcement officers. I believe is more often they are takers as opposed to givers, which, in my opinion, is the exact opposite of reality. You know, police officers, sure, they have that ability to incarcerate people. They have that ability to intervene and interrupt inappropriate behavior, criminality, whatever it is.
mhm.
But and then that's the basis most people have. But if you really think about a police officer, pretty much every day, most throughout their entire shift, they're giving. And I think that because of this perception in the United States today about law enforcement being something in a negative light, I think that if we can get a paradigm shift in people's thinking, that these officers like yourself who've given their lives literally in cases, but they spend the day helping people. That's their job.
Well, I would agree 100% with you. And I can look back and I look back, and not just the career I had, but all the people I had the opportunity to work around and sit around a table with pre-shift briefing, sit around in meetings and community meetings. Is I'm going to say police officers are not perfect by any nature. We hire people from the human race to do a job, and that job is to hold others accountable, but do it in such a way that truly what it says on this side of the door is to protect and serve. Serve being the most important most important part of what police officers are responsible for. And I can look back at all my years on the police department. When I sat in that room, the heart and the mind was in the right place of everyone in that room.
Hmm.
Their goal was to go out and do the right thing, do what their job instructed them to, but do everything possible to go above and beyond and figure out the root of issues, figure out how you can best help people, figure out why people that are victims can in the future not be a victim again.
Mm.
And then do everything you can to find the solutions to give people those opportunities to get better. And that's what I think police officers are all about. The sad truth is, police officers have a dirty business to do sometimes. And
Hmm.
holding people accountable is not something people like sometimes.
Right.
Even as simple as stopping someone for a traffic ticket. We as human beings do not like to be held accountable for things.
Right.
And we don't like to be brought to our attention when something is wrong or we've violated something.
Hmm.
But that's where it takes a special police officer to be able to get that message out, get that accountability out, and then get that person to move on with the thought that I understand. I better understand now why. Whether it's riding in the back of a police car, whether it's getting a citation and stop, whether it's calling the police to your house for some sort of crime that has occurred or a neighborhood issue.
Right.
There's a complexity that goes with policing that I have not found in any job ever, ever again.
Right. Right. So obvious, well, in my opinion, I say obviously, this is always my opinion. Um, the most officers nationally, I mean, I have experience on a national level when I was working for the federal government, but local police officers often don't have the tools to be able to handle all of that, those stress related incidents, be it something really positive or something like you're talking about that has, a negative connotation to it.
Well, I want to reach out and talk to you about the tools. Is if you think about what police officers even today are expected to do, they deal with everything from the traffic violations to a child who is been abducted and is missing, to a burglary in a residential area, to a car thief, to a homeless issue, to a mental illness issue, which is facing us on a broad base today.
Yeah.
So there's a higher expectation of what police officers are expected to do because historically it's asked if there's a problem, no matter who it's involving, a mental issue, a homeless issue, who do you call? There is
Right.
no one else to call but the police department. So
Currently.
we have expected a lot more of our police officers than I think most people really stop and consider what's expected. Now, it does take a special person to be a police officer, especially today, because you have to have that tolerance. You have to go out there and have an interaction that actually is meaningful. And I'll say the most important part is you really have to care about what you're doing and the message you're giving and the way the image of what law enforcement is, how it's portrayed.
Right.
But I think our officers do a great job of that today.
They do. They've really been piled on, to use a sports analogy there, in terms of the things that they're tasked with. And as you know, our foundation, the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, we obviously support our officers. And one of the big things that we're finding is so critical now in our officer wellness package is resilience. Creating that environment where there's self care and there is enough support either from a chaplain or from fellow officers or from command staff or the public, wherever we can find that that additional bag of help, that support, is going to make a difference between making a critical decision properly or making a critical decision somewhat improperly.
And I love that you talk about the resources. And there's a lot of jobs out there, not just policing, that has additional stresses that are associated with it. I do say that there's each of the police departments in our region, and I would say nationally. And I was fortunate to be an attendee of the FBI National Academy back in 2008. And I was a graduate of that, which exposed me to policing around the world because in my class, we're also police administrators from Gibraltar, from Mongolia,
Mm-hmm.
from New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that I can tell you here that I found there, and it was enlightening to me, is it doesn't matter where you're at in the world, policing is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The issues and problems that are happening to us are the same ones that are happening in Japan, the same ones that are happening in South Korea, the same ones that are happening in Gibraltar. But I guess where I'm going with this is there is a much more um, thicker thought process today than ever before about making sure officers are able to cope and
Right.
making sure officers have the resources and make sure officers have access to counseling, because
Hmm.
there are some things that they are doing today that that cause a huge amount of stress in their
Yeah.
professional lives and their personal lives. So I think you're onto something there when you talk about making sure that there's some sort of supporting element to police
Mhm.
officers, to law enforcement officers, to firefighters, to
Right.
those that are out there in the business of taking care of people.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a big issue, and the more awareness we can create about it, then perhaps that issue will get addressed at the local, regional, national level. So speaking of awareness, for my listeners, it would do a little shift here. Boyd and his team, his security team at the Valley View Casino, invited members of my team from the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation from our Human Trafficking Awareness Program out to their casino, and we had just a very elevating conversation with a lot of your employees on site. It was really gratifying for us to see how attentive your employees were to our training. Uh, I don't know. We spent what, an hour and 20 minutes talking to a couple of groups, and it was really fantastic. I mean, in terms of capturing people's attention, I think we did.
I want to echo what you're saying. I want to drive home the point that Jeff, what you were able to bring up to our team and the presentation and the real life discussion that happened in that room has not only created an impact, but it's created a lasting impact. Each of those classes you put on were about 90 minutes apiece. And you
Mhm.
got to, in total, about 60 of our team members and some members from some other organizations
Yeah.
around us, a
Right.
message that is critical. It's critical to the safety of a lot of people. And I can tell you that I think even before we started today on the call, I mentioned that even today, someone mentioned to me what a fantastic
Mm.
class and
Yeah.
how much they took away from that, not only on a professional basis, but on a personal level. And I think that always has some impact to me when someone can come 2 weeks after a training and still be talking about the
Yeah.
message they received, which really means you guys hit the mark. So totally
Yeah.
impressed with what you were able to pull off.
I'm not sure people really understand, you know, your role at Valley View, or pretty much most of the casinos, certainly in California, and for sure here in San Diego County. What do we have? Something like, I know there are 18 tribes in the county, but only, is it 12 of them that have casinos, and not
It,
all of those 12 have hotels.
that is true.
Yeah.
There are 9 casino properties in San Diego County. It is the most populated casino county in the state of California.
Mhm.
I'm proud to say we have a network between each of our casinos, and that network is driven on safety of our properties. The truth is, I don't want anything happen to any of the casino properties. I don't want anything happen anywhere in our county. But if the certain element I can control is what happens on or around a casino property, makes a difference to me. We talk with each of the casinos on a regular, consistent basis, sometimes daily. We share information specifically and narrow related to safety at each of our properties.
Mhm.
And your training has been discussed, so I know you're going to be getting some of the other properties to reach out to you. I know
Yeah.
while we were here, we also had some members of the Hawaii band as part of the class.
Yes.
Also, some representatives from the safari park were in the class. So we really have a wonderful network of, it's not just related to casinos, but any place that people gather for an entertainment purpose. We want to talk, we want to network, and we want to share information to make the entire region safe.
Well, yeah, thanks for that heads up. We already have a date with Safari Park,
Good.
and I'm sure we'll be hearing from the others. Um, and even though most people, in my opinion, their perspective of what casinos are all about, I don't think they realize the economic impact, economic impact that they have throughout San Diego County. I mean, if you look at, for instance, your casino, you hire what? You have 1,000 or more people on payroll here.
We do. We have 1,000 team members, and They live in primarily North County, Temecula areas, Oceanside, Vista, Escondido. We draw an employee base from Temecula, Murrieta, Menifee.
Hmm.
But 1,000 people come here for work, and those dollars go back out to be spent in the communities.
Right.
They're well-paying jobs. Casinos are not underpaid. We do a good job of taking care of our team members, and I
Yeah.
want to give a plug to all the casinos in the region. Knowing what we know is we know that we're a force of employment.
Yeah.
Now, like I said when I started, I want to say this place has been much more than I expected, and
Mhm.
nothing like I expected in a good way. I think we all have an idea of what a casino is. There's always some sort of a little bit of a negative connotation, but I can tell
Mhm.
you from being inside one, this is about as legitimate as any business in the world. And when I say legitimate, down to the point of we create an environment where it's a safe environment, fun,
Mhm.
good food, fair gaming,
Yeah.
and a great place to come to make people want to come back. We don't twist someone's arm. We don't tell you, leave more money. Just come as you can. Enjoy the time here. Enjoy good food. Enjoy fair gaming. You're
Yeah.
going to spend dollars somewhere, so find the right place to do it, whether it's here or not.
Sure. Sure. No, absolutely. I was really impressed with the number of protocols that you do have in place to ensure that safety and security, all the while making it a very pleasant experience. I mean, you guys are really flexible. You listen to your clients, you listen to the community. Because I mean, what most people's experience or their viewpoint of gambling is they think Las Vegas, lots of flash,
Right.
hundreds, thousands of people, and really expensive food, and it's a big scam in a lot of people's minds, and they don't realize how important gaming is. I mean, people need that respite, especially today.
I'll just tell you this. One of the first things I'm fortunate that I spent 30 years in law enforcement before I had the opportunity to come here, and
Yeah.
I get a chance to bring some of that experience here and put in play.
Sure.
But I can tell you, working here for the past 10 years has actually made me look at things a little bit differently as a leader. And I really strongly believe that guest service is what keeps us the safest.
Yeah.
If I've got a team of officers, and the ones I hire, as I always remind them, that guest service is the most important thing that we offer when it comes to security. Everything else falls into place if you just treat people right when they come to the property. Even that person that's coming here with some ill intent, if we treat them right, we make eye contact, we do all the right things, they're less likely to do something negative to us.
Right.
So I feel very strongly about that. I feel very strongly that that's one of the layers of security here. We have a variety of layers that go continue. We have a philosophy that says predict things that are going to happen, deter things that are going to happen, respond immediately, and recover immediately. One message, one philosophy, but the goal is all wrapped around provide good guest service, because if you do that from the get-go, you're going to have much better luck.
Yeah.
One thing I can share with you, one last thing, is every time we hire someone, within about 2 weeks of us hiring an officer here, I always have a conversation with them. One of the nuggets I try and leave with them is you're going to get involved with people, and some we're going to ask to leave. Some are going to go out the front door. Some are going to go out the back door. And some,
Mhm.
unfortunately, will wear handcuffs when they leave here.
Yeah.
I challenge them with one goal: make them all want to come back.
Right.
Find a
Right.
way to treat people in such a way that you're asking them to do something that they normally don't want to do, but they want to come back and do it again. They want to come and visit this property again. And
Yeah.
that's how we do it. We do it with good guest service, with professionalism, and we do what's fair.
I think you and I talked about my horse ranch in Bonsall that my wife and I have. And in the horse trade, in the horse business, I always teach people to practice what happens before what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that philosophy that you're talking about was palpable at your casino. I mean, I could see the professionalism with people where it was it was burned in, it was baked in into their approach to people. I mean, when we weren't in training, you were feeding us and treating us like royalty. But my head's always on a swivel. I was observing the staff and how they responded to people, you know, questions being asked of them. And I thought, these people are prepared because they've practiced it over and over again, and
It's
that's what it takes.
very kind of you, and I feel that way. I feel we have and it's not just the security department, not just any one department, but we collaborate as a property, and we have a philosophy across the property as guest service is a priority to us,
Yeah.
and we mean it. We say it, we act it, we mean it.
So help me understand. I mean, I know a little bit about casinos now since we got involved with these training programs for the last year and a half. Um, but the relationship that you have between the people that own the casino, that's the tribe,
Correct.
and the people that actually run the casino, how does that work?
There are boards. The tribe itself has, and a really quick lesson on tribes is the tribe is no different than any other government, such as a state. And if you looked at a chairman of a tribe, is no different than a governor
Okay.
of that particular state. The chair board are like council members for that
Mm,
reservation, and
yeah.
then through that process, there's a casino development group that's elected by the owners to just manage the operations of the casino and hotel.
Hmm.
No different than any other governing body. That is my board.
Yeah.
And that board provides us direction on financial impacts, directions on build outs. We're in the midst of construction,
Right.
directions on salaries. And they've been very generous to us. And it's a wonderful tribe with one goal in mind is treat everyone equitably, do what they can to support the economic engine of the casino. But our tribe's very smart. They're diversified. They own some other um, groups, or they own some other like a gas
Yes.
station, a golf course, and some other things. So
Right.
they're
Sure.
very diversified and they're very smart in the way they're spending their money.
Hmm.
Uh, but the bottom line is they've empowered us as management team at the casino to operate the casino. And I think it's very similar to most, if not all, of the other casino properties in the state. We all work under an umbrella of a compact.
Right.
Each individual tribe has to develop a compact and agreement with the state on how they're going to operate in the state. And then we
Hmm.
follow under all the guidelines through financial crimes, FinCEN.
Hmm.
So I would say the best way to describe a casino in my mind, now that I work here, I see it, we're a banking institution, which is our cage inside, with an entertainment venue wrapped around it. So every cent that comes off the table or a slot machine or out of a cash register goes to that cage, which is the bank. It's all reconciled. Every casino still pays taxes to the state of California. We still pay taxes on every machine that we have out there, and we're no different, really, when I say a legitimate than any other legitimate business in the state of California.
It really warms my heart when I see, and I've been in a number of the casinos in the county, doing our human trafficking work. It really warms my heart to see them be successful. When you look at the history of the Native American groups here and how they were so woefully mistreated, and to see them being in a position where they can make a difference. And what's really cool is that not only do they make a difference to their own tribal members and all the people that they employ, but they also outreach throughout the community in the way of support and donations. And uh, you look around and you see the iconoclastic buildings in San Diego County with Indian tribe names as
Yep.
sponsors for it. I mean,
Yep.
it really makes me feel like, okay, this is we're heading in the right direction. We're not there yet because there's certainly still some issues as a result of the treatment that these tribes receive, not the least of which is the ownership of land and some other things. But it's going in the right direction.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I feel the same way you do. Especially now that I've worked at a casino and tribal operation for 10 years, is
Hmm.
I think it is a great thing. I think, just as you said, it's not just a benefit to the tribe, but it's a benefit to the community for the employment end of it. It's a benefit to the community for an entertainment end of it, and we're very philanthropical. We have no issues with, and we have supported a variety of things, including we're supporting our fire department this Sunday with all the drinks and refreshments for their 9/11
Oh,
event
great.
we're going to have and held at our Valley Center Fire Department.
Yeah, that's an internal department, is it not?
We actually we're talking about Valley Center Fire Department. We're supporting. We do have a tribal fire department, which
Right.
is a regional asset. They do come and they assist throughout the region. You'll see some of the Valley Center or the Sample Swall rigs. You'll see them going up to fight fires in other counties. We
Sure.
also have our own tribal police department, which is funded specifically through the tribe. Uh,
Hmm.
this tribe's a very worthy tribe that does a lot of good work for the community itself and everyone surrounding us.
Well, I'll give a shout out to your tribe because I'm a first responder for wildfires and animals in distress throughout the county. And we've trained for years on your properties, and in conjunction with your fire department and your police officers. And it's a great group. There's no question about it. Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it very much. So Boyd Long, longtime police officer, 3 decades, high intensity, a lot of drama, all of that. And now here you've spent the last 10 years. You must feel kind of relaxed now. Got, you don't have that day-to-day pressure like a street cop.
I will say this: there is a nobility to being in policing. I get a chance to bring some of that nobility here to make sure the 3 million guests that visit the casino every year feel safe, feel secure. That's a big part of what I like to do when I walk around the floor is talk to guests about how they feel when it comes to safety here.
Yeah.
And I get good feedback. Secondly, it's very important to me and my team members feel confident in the support they're getting, the equipment needs they need, and ultimately, I want them to. I always ask them, "Do you feel as good when you drive to work as you do when you get to go home?" And if
Yeah.
the answer is inevitably yes, then I know we're doing the right thing here.
Right.
I really feel confident in the professionalism that we have built here with our team and our safety team at Valley View. So it's been a wonderful ride. The police work was again incredibly fun. There were some challenging days, but I look back and then I wouldn't have missed it. It was a great opportunity, and I'm thankful to the city of San Diego Police Department for allowing me to be part of that for the years I was there.
I don't know. They allowed you. I think you earned it.
Every day I feel
Legally,
like you're
right.
allowed. I appreciate you saying that, but I would just say that I appreciated it. I appreciated their giving me the opportunity.
Well, it's been, I'm sure, a whole paradigm shift in terms of just like you mentioned earlier in the broadcast that you've taken a different viewpoint on a lot of things because of where you are now. I mean, you're in the entertainment business now,
Right.
and that's very different than being a police officer, especially for being the assistant chief for one of the larger police departments in the state of California. That has to be, that's probably a really good feeling. It probably makes your wife feel a little bit better about whether he's going to come home tonight, if he was involved in a shooting or some, other calamity.
Well, my response is what has helped me coming here is the police department, of course, set me up in a position to be more of a critical thinker and a better decision maker. And
Mhm.
the one thing I'll take away is, I look at this job very, very seriously that I do here in the safety of the property. This is the economic engine for the tribe, and I don't want anything bad to happen to it. I don't want anything to tarnish its reputation. But the flip side of the coin is coming out of law enforcement, now going to where I expect law enforcement to respond, and I have an expectation.
Right.
I always want that to get met, and sometimes I struggle with whether or not it's getting met. And I said earlier how my philosophy has changed. I probably would be a better assistant chief today had I had this experience
Mhm.
before,
Mhm.
because I now know there's a different expectation than maybe my mindset was at the time. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what the officers do, but I am lucky that I have had an opportunity to see it from the other side of the fence.
Yeah, I was having lunch the other day with one of my colleagues, and we were talking about our children and offering those children opportunities to grow outside of the box. Where when you're growing up, and let's say your father is a carpenter, and maybe your mom was a stay-at-home mom, or maybe he was a lawyer or she was a lawyer, and there's almost this expectation in the family dynamic very often that this is the Wohler family pathway, or this is the way the Longs do it. And this conversation with my colleague was sort of generated because her son wanted to go to school abroad, wanted to go to Germany and study. And then we had another friend, and his son wanted to go to Jordan, to the Kingdom of Jordan, to learn Arabic and go to school there. And I I applaud those things. I think it's great, and I think that the more exposure people have, like you did, you were in law enforcement for 30 years, and then you took on this gig. Uh, and like you said, if you'd taken maybe a sabbatical in there and took on the responsibilities working at a casino or somewhere else, like you said, you might have been a better leader. I don't know that that's true, but certainly having exposure, I think, is critical to people's ability, not necessarily a willingness, but their ability to think more globally, more holistically.
I couldn't have said it any better than that. You are absolutely spot on, and I recognize that. And I would say, I went to school, and after I got on the police department. It took me 10 years to go back to school, and I got a bachelor's degree. I liked it enough to stay, and I got a master's degree. But I can't tell you today, after I left there with a master's degree, I knew I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. And I get it when people say that. I now know what they mean. I get it because what it has taught me is just look at things with a little broader perspective. Don't think you know it all, because guess what, Boyd?
You don't. Yeah, I remember when when I graduated high school, I went to community college for a little while and got bored, and so I joined the Army, which probably wasn't the smartest thing in the world, but I survived. This was in the 60s, so I'm a Vietnam veteran. And when I came out of that, and then I went to law school and I graduated, and I was out having a beer with my father, and I looked at him and I said, "How did you get so smart all of a sudden?" And I mean, he hadn't changed one bit, but all of a sudden I had a different perspective about him and everything. And it was all just because I'd been exposed to so much in a short time frame, and it did change me. So yeah.
Right.
Well, Boyd, this has been really illuminating. You're a great guy. I mean, you're doing such a super job out there. I mean, I get to talk to a lot of leaders regularly. It's really a gift that I've been given to be able to do that because of the work that I do here. But I just want to thank you so much for taking time with me today. And I hope if anyone wants to go gaming, they're going to look at Valley View Casino and Hotel. And by the way, they actually let people win once in a while.
We sure do.
That's a rumor. I'm not a gambler,
it's
but
a rumor that's true.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we just had a guest on Monday that hit for just under $500,000. So that's a pretty good win.
Wow, that is a good
on a slot machine.
On a slot machine.
Yep.
Wow. I don't know. When I go into casino,
the biggest jackpot I've seen here has been 1.4 million.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Still, even today, with billionaires. Well, once
again, Jeff, I appreciate you having me on your show. You've done a very wonderful job of putting together the training, and I must tell you, in all my years of having someone come and bring a training program, I don't know that I've seen the impact that yours left behind. So I commend you and your team for that. Well done.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it very much. Well, I want to thank my listeners here today. The Greater Good podcast. Boyd Long is another example of someone I consider to be a true leader within our county. Your impact is seen and appreciated. Thanks again, Boyd.
Have a great day.
You bet.